Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Weissheit. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. I always like to talk to the people who are taking care of us, but also reminding us how to take care of our pets. Welcome back to the show, Miss Valerie Robinson. How you doing, Valerie?
Thanks. I'm doing great.
Very
Thanks
good.
for having me.
Absolutely. Love the Santa hat. Love the kitty cat.
Thanks. We're ready. We're ready for winter and for Christmas.
I know it. I know it. We've been talking over the last few days about the 4 Ps and the importance of what to do for who we need to take care of when it gets cold. People and pets, very often, those are on the same level. So people and pets are important. And so that's what you guys do over at Terrebonne Parish Animal Shelter. We're so very thankful that y'all do that. Let's talk a little bit about what this cold weather means and how it relates to the kitties and the doggies.
Yeah, so I brought a friend with me today to kind of showcase the importance of keeping him warm. He's nice and snuggled. His name is Ren. He's about a 6-8-week-old kitten. And these guys are all over our community right now. And so what we would like to share today is a little bit about how to kind of winterize your pet and get ready. One of the things that we often get asked about is animals being left out, in the cold, or how to prepare your pets, for the cold. They have to be inside or enclosed. Our law now in the Terrebonne Parish requires you to remove your animal indoors. Or provide it with heat once it gets below 32 degrees. There's a few things that we want you guys to know, some safety tips that, one, indoors is the best place for the pet during that cold weather. Their little paw pads are very susceptible to cold and heat, but to cold for this cold snap.
Right.
So we don't want to see them walking on cement or on really cold surfaces, because that can ice that can burn their paw pads. And also, if salt is put down, we want to make sure that we're wiping off the salt of the paws. For whatever reason, if somebody's using salt to melt any ice or anything, and get them ready to go. We want to make sure that if your house does fall susceptible to cold for whatever reason, that you have some, dog food, cat food supplies for the next few days, just in case there's closures of pet stores or anything like that. And also, just in general, being mindful about, that weather and not letting them stay outside and frolic as long as they would, because that cold weather, especially with the wind chill, can really affect animals. Your breeds like Huskies and things like that are more, durable in this type of weather, but they still are susceptible to, being cold.
Yeah, and sometimes your dogs know, or your cats know. Some are a little more like the cold, some don't. One of mine, with beautiful Christmas sweaters for both of them. One of them just decided to take their sweater off. Literally took his own sweater off this morning. And so woke up this morning at 6 o'clock, and Drew's got his sweater off. Yep. And Chipper's still snuggled up in his bed. And so some of them, Drew loves the cold. He loves to be out in the cold.
Yes.
And so, but getting them in and preparing and protecting them, because they don't know what kind of cold's coming.
Exactly.
This particular week.
And not only that, at night it's the worst. So we don't want to see pets, animals left outside. And talking back about that law, they are responsible for bringing those pets in, and that's something that is enforced by police and our agency. That anything below 32 degrees, they have to either provide it with heat, so bring the space heaters out or whatever, and then also. The other option is to bring it indoors, in an enclosure that they can keep warm. So it is part of the law, and our field teams out there, enforcing that for those that aren't, being responsible. But most people realize that it's going to be cold, and they bring the animals in. The other thing that we get questioned about too is community cats. So we have that stray cat population that we've been doing really good work. I think we're going to talk about that in the next segment. But that community cat population. Most of our community cats have cat caregivers. One of the things that you can do very simply and inexpensively is create a little shelter, a feral cat shelter. Constructed from a tote that you can pick up at Walmart, Home Depot, Target, whatever. So it's very easy to construct. Essentially, it's putting like a little bitty ice chest inside of that tote for insulation and some bedding, some straw, some bedding down, and cut out a little hole. And that's really like what you see on the screen will protect cats when it gets really, really cold. That's something that they can, help, or the community cat caregivers can do to help those stray or outdoor cats.
And if you got a few of those, go ahead and make a couple of those. Very simple. Even somebody as prepared as I am with activities can do that. You cut a hole in the tub itself, you cut a little hole in the ice chest, you make sure it's got some good filler in it for warmth, then you cover it. and
That's
those kitties can get in and out of there. And interestingly enough, you may find several of them.
Yes.
Because they tend to do that together.
They will bunch
right?
together,
They will bunch
yeah.
them
And
for warmth.
the other piece of that is cats will find a warm place. Speaking of, cats will find that warm place, and that usually is a car engine.
hood.
So under the hood of a vehicle is a very common place for cats to go. We've done several rescues, and we want people to know that that's a real thing, and we're asking them very simply to honk their horn when they get in the vehicle, if their vehicle is outside at night, to honk their horn before they start up their vehicle, or to bang on the hood. It's very, very simple things that they can do to help our little community cats out that tend to kind of find their way into, like this guy kind of found his way, underneath that wheel well is one of those hot spots for them. They like to stay on that warm area. So we're just asking people to be mindful of that, especially with the cold snap coming up, that, a simple honk of the horn or, a banging on the hood before you get in and start it up. We'd hate to see our friends, we've responded to multiple ones, and we just like to not have to respond to those emergency situations if they can be helped.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where if your car is going to be out in the cold, keep in mind a cat
Yes.
may be out in the cold as well, and we
Exactly.
want to kind of protect that. It may be one of those community cats that you're made a feral shelter for, that we need to be able to remind him, hey, get out from the car, go
Yep.
into your shelter,
Yep.
and be able to take care of there. In this cold weather, it's important that we find a way to make some positive differences for these pets.
Yeah, so at the shelter for the month of December, we're doing some really good work with pushing out adoptions.
Okay?
And so that's one way that you can help out. Of
Yeah.
course, winterizing, like we talked about, is another
Right.
way, but we're talking more so now about taking on a new little friend.
Right,
Ren.
like all of Ren's siblings and friends,
Yeah,
right?
all of his friends at the shelter, over the last few days, most of them have been adopted, so Ren is kind of waiting. And right now, due to some generous sponsors, we have been able to waive all of the fees for adoption. So
Wow.
essentially, they're no cost. We still have the
Zero
same
fees.
zero fees. Yeah. So we're
Y'all still
doing-
have the same cost to care for them and
We
prepare
do.
them, right?
We do, and the generous donors gave that so that people could spend more money on getting the animal ready. So
Okay.
dog beds and
Right.
cat toys and
Right.
things like that. We still have the same adoption process. There's
Mm-hmm.
people who are always worried like we're just giving them out to whoever, if they can't take care of them, whatever.
Right.
And honestly, most people who show up at our shelter are ready. They're ready to
Right.
take on a new pet.
They've taken
right?
the initiative to come
They
and see
have.
you
They
and be
thought
prepared
about
for
it.
that,
They
right?
talked about it with their families.
Right.
They've gotten in the car. They looked us up on Facebook. They, scrolled through our pictures. Most people are ready and prepared to take on that new pet when they come to the shelter. They're not coming because it's zero, dollars at this point. And so what we've seen is people will either sponsor another animal, like they'll donate,
Oh.
more money back, or they'll use that money and go to PetSmart or Petco or Tractor Supply or whatever and get their their new pet dog beds, or they'll
Right.
spend a little extra doing that. So that's what we're really excited. And December is one of our highest adoption months.
Right.
So that helps out a lot as well when we're doing a promotion like that. It gets more people into the door, more people thinking about adopting a pet as well, so that we can kind of advertise.
I like it. Jen, put that up one more time. Home for the holidays. Want to let you know you can come get a pet for free. It's an adoption special, December 1st through December 31st. You got about a week and a half left to go and do that. Dogs, nothing. Cats, nothing. So you see the big X there. Normally $25 to be able to adopt both of those, but no fee thanks to those generous sponsors. And again, it's the Terrebonne Parish Animal Shelter at 100 Government Street over in Gray. And so great programs all year long, not just Home for the Holidays. Let's talk about some of the other programs y'all have.
So last 2 weeks, we have rounded out and ended what we have been on your program about,
Right.
called Operation Whiskers.
Right.
Operation Whiskers was a huge initiative following Hurricane Ida's response to all of the animals that needed help, and what the community cat program called Operation Whiskers this year was all about is spaying and neutering those community cats that weren't, spay or neutered before, and also the people who may have, the caregivers who were absent after Hurricane Ida or needed a little help.
Right.
So we kind of jumped in right after Hurricane Ida into Operation Whiskers beginning in February and through the end of November. And in that time frame, we spay or neutered, vaccinated, ear-tipped, and tattooed 1,913
Almost
cats.
2,000 pets.
Almost 2,000 cats.
Wow.
That's really, really impressive for our
remarkable.
community, because that tells us that the need is there. And we were super excited to be able to fulfill that, especially after Ida. Everybody needs a little bit of a pick-me-up, a little bit of help. And so the work that my team did was incredibly impactful. We are hoping to see a decrease in intake in the future because
Right.
we're not seeing those cats repopulate. So we're
Right.
really excited about the work that we've done, and we just wanted to let the community know that although Operation Whiskers has kind of wrapped up with the funding, the funding from the sponsors that we received, we're going to incorporate that in our normal protocol. So we'll keep that going. And we're really dedicated to seeing this happen for Terrebonne Parish, reducing the cat population that's out there, spaying and neutering, providing a 30-day flea prevention, all of those things that happen for this cat at no cost for stray cats. And that's really what we need to get in order to stop the homelessness, in order to stop those large colonies of cats and whatnot.
Right.
Say, Ren, we like your friends, but we don't want them to have babies.
That's
So
right.
That's the
That's
big
right.
thing is we just need that, that message to get out there about spay or neuter. We're going to continue it. Just because Operation Whiskers is stopped does not mean that we're stopping. At no cost to the community, they will be able to still get their outdoor cats spay or neutered, so that we're helping, reduce that population in the most humane way.
It's awesome. I appreciate that. In our last few minutes, Jen, let's put that flyer up for tips. Kind of want to close out, if you don't mind, kind of finishing that discussion, because people, quite frankly, may be thinking about traveling or what to do, and it's sweater weather. Keep them indoors and doing preparations.
Yes. So sweater weather it is. We, like you talked about yours, having sweaters. We like to see the animals inside. We like to see the pictures of your pets nice and cozy with sweaters on during this weather. And so one of the things that's really important to understand is that even though dogs are a little more husky, or bigger, they are still very susceptible to the cold.
Right.
If you're going to travel, make sure that you have the extra supplies for
Everything
them.
you need.
Yeah, everything
Right.
that you need. And over the course of the next few days, have everything that you need. Make sure that you can get through the weekend without running to, PetSmart, just in case there's a closure somewhere.
Right.
And you just never know. We're not expecting that to be the case, but you just never know. So, make sure your pet's medications are filled. Make sure that, just like during storm prep, for hurricanes, make sure that you have all the supplies and that you're thinking about them. And
Awesome.
if you do see someone, a pet in need, to contact
Reach
the
out.
animal shelter or the police department after hours.
We appreciate it very, very
Yes.
much. All right, much like Valerie suggested, take care of your pets, take care of one another. And so a very Merry Christmas from all of us here at HTV to all of you watching at home. Take care of your friends, take care of your people, take care of your pets. And that will do it for this particular segment. Don't go anywhere, a lot more here on HTV.